Cricket Love Stories with me, Neel Khagram. Today we're joined by Gary Palmer. Gary, how's things going?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. And you?
Yeah, great facility you got down here in Oxford. So Gary, we're going to do some technical batting analysis. You're going to give us some drills and tips. Before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about your background, playing career, Somerset, before moving into the coaching world. Talk us through it.
Well, I suppose father played for Somerset, ended up following in his footsteps. Played from under 12s upwards through all the Somerset age groups. Played England under 19s, England schoolboys, under 15s, under 19s, and then young England. So I've experienced going through all the various levels of playing. Finally played second team cricket and got a contract at 14 to play for Somerset in the school holidays. And then I had 10 years playing down at Somerset.
And how do you find that transition into coaching?
Well, I loved the playing, and people thought I was going to go further than I did with cricket, and if that had been the case, I probably would have wanted to carry on playing and would have enjoyed that. But it worked out differently. Got released from Somerset, and having put all my eggs in one basket, wanting to be a professional cricketer, you think, well, what else can I do? What do I know? And I used to go to Lord's a lot as a youngster with my father on all the coaching courses. He would do the coaching, and in the break time he would bowl at me and give me a hit on a bowling machine. As I got older, I started becoming one of the coaches in those holiday camps at Lord's, and I think I got a taste for it. I really enjoyed it, and from there on in, I just started running courses, got some jobs at public schools, and I really started to enjoy the coaching side of it.
And then you're known as more a technical, specific batting coach. Talk us through that aspect, how that differs from others.
When I first started coaching, it was more of a general. You take your badges. At the time, it was, I think, junior, senior, and advanced, and you learn to be a rounded coach, so you can teach batting, bowling, and fielding. Obviously, if you were an advanced, that was quite high up at the time, and those were probably the credentials people were looking for if you wanted a decent job at a county, or to get yourself into coaching. And yes, I've done lots of group stuff. I've run my own courses, I've run my own academy, but I've just, I have a love for the batting side of it. I think, where I've looked at researched batting and tried out different things over the years, I've really got into the batting side of things, and it's something I really enjoy doing. I can do the other things. I used to be a specialist fielding coach, and I've run some sessions with the Australian Test team. But I do love the batting, because I think I've got something a little bit different, a bit extra to offer on that front.
And then the proof's in the pudding. You've coached numerous household names: Alistair Cook, Dom Sibley, Shah Massoud.
Yeah, well, in the past, a lot of the players I've coached have been youngsters or up and coming young players that are always behind the scenes, and it was great to get an opportunity to work with the legend that is Alistair Cook, and it's been a real honour and a real privilege, and I've really enjoyed it. And then from there, other players have come along, Shah Massoud, Dominic Sibley, and it's just sort of been ongoing since then.
And you run your own camps as well. Talk us through the batting lab. We'll chuck your website link in the description below, but yeah, just talk us through those camps that you run and how people watching this can get involved.
Okay, well, obviously here is what I call the Palmer Batting Lab, where I run a lot of one-to-one individual sessions mainly. We also offer groups for clubs to come in for a half day or a full day, and this used to be 3 nets, and now obviously we've cut it down to 2 because we've had a a marquee put in place here now, so I've got 2 indoor nets and 2 outdoor nets. And the plan is, if any any players anywhere in the world, or teams or squads that want to come to the UK and do 1 to 5 days of batting training in this indoor facility, it's open to them. And there's also places on the farm for them to stay, as a manor house, various cottages. So we've got the accommodation, and we've got the indoor cricket coaching facility for batting. So we're already set up for any players anywhere in the world that want to come here, and coaches as well, any individual coaches or groups of coaches that want to come and learn some of the methods that we're using. For instance, the 4 angles method on the bowling machine and all the various drills. This is where you can come and learn these things.
Yeah, I've had a walk around myself. Got to say, it's a fantastic facility. We're going to drop the link in the description below, so please check it out. But for now, Gary, can't wait to get into these techniques and tips you have for everyone. Let's go. Yeah, so Gary, before we get into the actual technical element, what are your philosophies on coaching batting specifically?
Well, what I'd want to be doing with players is teaching the player to hit between mid-on and mid-off to the highest technical standards, with the ability to consistently hit the middle of the bat and hit the ball exactly where it should go. But when they're improvising, then have the ability to hit the ball where a player wants to hit it. And I think that is achieved in practice by a lot of technical input, eye for detail, giving a player clarity on what the most effective batting technique is, following that up with lots and lots of repetition, lots of specific drilling, and also grooving programs delivered by the best tool for coaching technique in the world, which is the bowling machine. I do a thing called the 4 angles. So once I've established a technique on 1 angle and swing, that's all well and good, but that technique needs to hold up on all 4 angles and swing types. So left arm over, swinging it in, swinging it away, right arm over, swinging it in, swinging it away. And you want the batsman or woman to be really efficient hitting in the V, whether it's leg side straight or offside. I wouldn't be in the business of getting someone really good on their legs to the point where they're not so good on the offside, or good on their offside where they're not so good on the legs. You've got to be like set of scales in the middle. You've got to have that balance where you can get them to play with no restrictions in the V, which will make batting easier. And that's the only way to get there, is lots of repetition and drilling, but not just doing it any old how, not just hitting loads of balls on a machine, because it's not about that. It's about having the clarity in giving the correct technical input coupled with hitting lots of balls. Probably the easiest way to get the grips right is to lie the bat on the floor and just to pick it up like this. So my top hand V goes down the middle of the back of the bat, and the bottom hand V's pretty much the same. Sometimes your top hand can go around slightly, but you don't want it to go around too much. I think the bottom hand always wants to be there. The minute it goes around here, this bottom hand becomes tight, and the hands can go away from the body, and the bat can go behind you. If you keep it there, with the back of your arm over the back of the bat, straight away you've got the fingers and some grip going, which gives your top hand the dominance. And for people that are standing really open or slightly open, that is the best grip. If you go to try and hold it old school around the side and you're standing open, that's not going to work. The only time that might work is if you're very sideways on. Even then, it's a weak grip, because you get to there and it's so uncomfortable, the bottom hand takes over. The grip needs to be top hand in charge all the time, so it's probably got to be, like I said, just pretty much down there, the V. That would be the ideal grip there. And picking up the bat, you don't want your bat face too open. It can vary between slightly open or flat, either or. But if someone has got it open and they keep middling every ball, and hit it to the right areas, then obviously you leave it alone. And this is what we're looking for: bent arms, 90-degree bend. We don't want this too wristy. There, gets our hands high, diamond shape freed up there, then you can present it at the end of the shot. It's nice and simple. To be good or effective at all formats of the game, whether it's test match, 2020, you have to have a high skill level, and that means to have a good technique. And the three core principles of having a good technique, I believe, are alignment, balance, and completion of shot, full completion of shot. That's ABC. So if I could just show you, demonstrate with these balls on the floor. It's a straight ball, off stump, just outside delivery, leg stump delivery. So from my stance, if I want to hit straight, I have to align my laces, my chest bone, my head, and swing the hand through the line of the chest bone and head. So I'm aligned, I'm balanced, and I'm fully completing the shot. This is high risk, small hitting zone. This is big hitting zone. And if I want to hit a ball that's not there for 6 straight, I need to hold my shape. Otherwise the only place it's going to go is over there. So I've got more options if I've got good sound basic technique. You're going to go offside. Again, chest bone's going to line up with the ball, laces line up to where you're hitting it, head forward to the front pad. So what's your realigning everything, so swing a straight line through ball to target, aligned, balanced, full completion of shot. Leg side, again, as the head goes, smaller stride leg side, laces line up, chest bone line with the ball, and we swing through ball to target, check swing finish. Good. Again, align, balance, full completion of shot. Those things from a coaching perspective need to be taught and revisited quite a lot within a coaching program, because it's your basics, and from your basics you can add on all the other flare shots, and you can maneuver yourself in the crease to improvise. But it's no point having all the flashy shots and do all the manoeuvring in the crease if your hardcore basics aren't in tip-top condition. So it makes sense to practice them regularly, just to keep nice full blade going through the line of the ball, making sure you're well balanced, well aligned. That's a good space to be in if that's what you're practicing. Obviously we're just talking about front foot there, but again, alignment, balance, completion of shot relative for back foot play as well. So imagine I've gone into position, and this is where I'd be looking to play the balls off the back foot, depending, you know, if they bounce on that line. So again, that straight ball there, head forward, back and across in line with the ball, check swing. Right, notice my back foot is slightly turned in. Again, shoulder out the way, head here. This gives me good balance and alignment for the shot. If I put that too sideways, I'm going to get a little bit closed off. So let's have a look again. Let the ball come, check swing. So alignment, balance and completion, so I can get full blade of the bat through the line of the ball for as long as possible. Obviously if the ball's on off stump, again, bearing in mind the shoulder is like the steering wheel on a car. So as I pick up the line outside of stump and I go back, my shoulder will start to turn, which means this back foot will go back and across, slightly more sideways on. So I let the ball come, swing the bat through the line of the ball. Better to be more sideways here, because if the ball's wider I can turn my shoulder more and hit the ball through extra cover. So for an off stump, it's going to be just slightly turned in, but near enough parallel. Straight, it's going to turn in a little bit, but on the onside, leg side short deliveries, again, as I pick up the line and open my shoulder, foot's going to turn in more, back, open the front leg out more, good access to the ball, full bladed bat through the line of ball for as long as possible. Now if that was a short ball, you could duck underneath it, or you could sway it, or you could play it round the corner. You've got access to hit it in front of square, or round the corner. People may say that's a big target. It is, but it's a much better position to be in to get access to the ball and to play it and to be in control of the shot. And you could also hook from there. Now if I go back with my back foot sideways and get into a very sideways on position, my hands start going further behind me, my head's further back, and there's a bit of a blind spot here. So if it's a bouncer, I might turn my head off it, or if it's down the leg side, I'm playing catch up, I might get a faint edge or faint off the full face of the bat, caught by the keeper. So this, while it's a smaller target, you're a smaller target, it's a lot harder and uncomfortable to access the ball than if you're here. Leave it, play it, hook it. So back foot, back position for the leg side delivery. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about trigger movements. Obviously if you're facing the new ball and against an out and out quick who's probably bowling 85, 90 miles an hour, to stand still and pick up, oh that's forward, oh that's back, that's quite tricky because you haven't got very much time to make that decision. And I feel that the longer a person stands still, the more tense they get, the more rigid they get, and the slower they react. They can get stuck on the crease. So by having a trigger, and the preferred trigger that I would sort of offer players as the best one to do, is the back and across movement. So just as before the bowler lets go of the ball, you're going to go back and across, so you shift your weight onto your back foot, but the key is to keep your head and chest forward of your body. So back and across, which opens me out. I wait to see where the ball is. Oh, it's over there. Step to the offside, play the shot. Again, back and across, see its leg stump, small stride, play the ball. As you can see, as soon as I go back and across, I'm in a great aligned and balanced position, that nice neutral position where I'm not tipping offside or leg side, but I'm nice and neutral. I can get good access to hit the ball straight. Now if I go and I go like and use this trigger, if you have a look now, I can't hit those two balls straight. Possibly that one, but I'm starting to hit around straight balls, and if the ball's swinging and moving around, that's high risk. On a flat wicket you might get away with it, but against the likes of Jimmy Anderson on a wicket that's doing a bit, percentages aren't really in your favour, they're in the bowler's favour. So the plus for going back and across is that you open out slightly and you're in a great position to decide what to do next. And again, if I can wait with that front foot to pick up the line of the ball, I'm going to put it in precise in the right place. If I go like this, I've already planted it in the wrong place, I've gone across the crease, I'm probably going to end up playing around my front pad. And if I go here, my head's over, it's difficult to judge what to leave and what to play. But if I go here, keep my head neutral, I know if the ball's wide of my right eye, it's a signal right to leave it, and I'm not going to get bowled. It's a good leave. And when you go back and across, I feel there's two ways of doing it. Some people go with all their weight on the back foot, with their head and upper body over that front foot, and other people are sort of in between the two. They just time it differently, so they're in between the two, where they could go back again or they could go forward. I've seen some players, and this I don't quite understand this, they go straight back. Now if you go straight back, your next movement is going to have to be over there, and if the ball is swung back into you, you're closed off, you're going to have to hit around it. And also if you go straight back, you can start playing out here, as opposed to you've gone back and you're more in line with it to play it there. It's good to get in line with the ball. So again, if you're going to trigger, back and across, always back and across. I wouldn't advocate going straight back. And if the ball was short, so it hasn't let go of it, and now you see it's short, so your weight shifted onto the front foot, and you go back again. Yep. But that for me is the best trigger. Some people are going, and that's okay if you can stay in that position, and if that works for you. Some people stand with their feet wide and they just go forward first, but I always think that if you're going forward first, you're battling a little bit against, you could go that way. If you go back and across, it's always going to open you out and give you that neutral position. This or that just could take you that way a little bit. And against a spinner, some people are thinking forward, so before the ball's even bowled, they might do that. Other people will be thinking forward press, so we're there, and we might go again, or you go there and you push back, and that's fine. But the key with all those triggers is that you've got to keep that initial movement neutral, wicket to wicket, stump to the other end, totally aligned, totally balanced. You don't want to be going that way, which can happen when people go, because they don't keep their head here. It's really like trying to get this foot outside the line of your head slightly. That's going to give you your balance. If you go here, your head's gone, you could tip that way. So those are just some thoughts on the back and across trigger. And it can take a while to get this right, because it's getting the mood, timing the movement right, picking the length up. You've got to practice it. It's not going to happen straight away. You've got to get used to it. But back and across, back up into the ball. Back and across, back again. Cricket's everyone. It's known that batting is a side-on game. Is it? I would question that, because I think there are some players out there that stand what I'd call probably too sideways on, and if you're too sideways on, you tend to tip to the offside. It's very difficult to stop yourself. I'd advocate for any player out there to stand so it's right arm over to me. I'd slightly open my feet, slightly open my shoulder, because if my shoulder's out of the way, pick the bat up, the most natural place to fall is forward, which gives me good neutral alignment and balance, even if I then change my mind and wanted to go back. A lot of batters that stand sideways on, they pick the bat up, and if they're too side on, the back lift can become too straight, and it can start to go behind them. As soon as it goes behind you, it's a signal, it starts making you want to go that way. You go here, and you can play around your front pad. And if batters that stand like very sideways on were to face a bowler who was to run up and hang on to the ball, I bet most of them would do that. And that's not a position you want to be in before the bowler's letting go of the ball, because straight away you're blocked off. You're off balance, you're not lined up straight. So by being slightly open, and there are different variants of open. This is open. You could go even more open. Yeah? But if my shoulder is out of the way, it means it's easier for me to keep my head wicket to wicket and be in a nicely aligned and balanced, that neutral initial position. So personally, if I was triggering, I'd be here, right? If I was to turn my shoulder too much, I'm off over this way. And the people that stand more open, even if they go a little bit, which everyone seems to want to do something, but they go a little bit, they're still pretty well lined up straight. But if you're here, you're starting to get blocked off. So I think it's easier to play in the V against a swinging or turning ball with a more open body position. So we get here. So if that ball swings away or swings in, or turns away or turns in, because I'm in a neutral position here, well balanced and well aligned, I've got access to those balls and I could adjust. I should be able to play them straight reasonably easily in this position. So to get in that position, if you're slightly open, it's a more natural thing to happen, getting into that balanced position. But if I'm sideways on, I could be off that way, or I've got, and this sort of thing could happen. I'm battling against it a little bit. So I want to be slightly open. I think that's key. Even some people stand open, which is great, and as they go to hit the ball, they turn the shoulder and they're gone again. So it's about picking up, going up again, maintaining that neutral position, where at this point I can play an on drive or an off drive. I don't know what the bowler's bowling, but I'm neutral. I haven't prejudged or already gone to the offside. So personally, there are different, degrees of being open, but it's better to be on the open side than it is to be on the verge of being too sideways on. Because if you're sideways on and the bat goes behind you, LBW, but the bat's sideways on, the ball swings in, it's a very small window to get access to the ball and you can play around it. But if you're more here, that area of driving straight becomes wider, therefore the percentages are more in your favour. And it's not just for the swinging ball and red ball cricket, it's also for 2020 cricket and one-day cricket. If you want to whack the ball down the ground, you might clear your leg out of the way, you're going to be like this. All these options are on. If you're just going there, it's only going one place all the time. So you're limited to different areas on the ground you can hit the ball. And this is high risk, this is lower risk. As for playing spin, with the more open body position, especially for an off spinner who might bounce the ball there and turn it in, if I'm in this position, I've got great access to defend the ball, drive the ball, or open my leg out and hit it for 6. So turning that foot in is good for off spin. If I go line of the ball because I'm too sideways, I'm going to always be hitting around straight ball. I'm going to find it very difficult to hit it over there. If it was turning the other way, left arm spin over the wicket. Again, if I was sideways on, I might get my foot out of the way here. Very difficult. So again, getting into this position, laces down the wicket, balanced and aligned. If that ball turns, I can hit it straight. If it goes straight or turns less or is a bit wider that way, I can hit into the spin effectively to hit it on the leg side. But again, keeping the feet like that is a tight line. And the only reason I can do it is because my shoulders are open. If I close my shoulders, I compensate by throwing that wide. Things are a lot more difficult. And also, playing spin, pace, whatever, make contact in front of your pad. Still let the ball come, but make contact in front of your pad. Don't mix up playing late with making contact too late. So if I'm playing it late here, going down towards the slips, gully, might even hit the floor and bowl me, and now I'm starting to become more bottom handed. If it nips back, hits me on the pad. If I'm here, I'm letting the ball come, but I can play it in front. If it moves, I can go with it. My head's forward, my top hand's dominant. Here, head's back, but the more you get behind you, the more the bottom hand comes in. So you want to be here. And even if you wanted to hit a length ball for 6, I'm still going to let it come to that point of contact and hit it. I don't want to be going at it too early. So it's still about letting it come, but you still need to make contact forward of the pad if you want to keep the top hand dominant and have a long blade through the ball for as long as possible. Just a quick one on coming down the wicket to a spinner. People say there's a couple of different ways of doing it. You can do it like this, or like that. I would never ever do it like that if I was trying to hit a straight ball, for the simple reason that as soon as I go here, I'm closing myself off. So the only place I could hit that if that was an off spinner is slog it over square leg or mid wicket. There's no way I can really hit it straight. But if I come down the wicket like this, right, there's a big area now for me to be able to hit that ball straight for 4 or 6, pick it up over straight mid wicket, or slog it over square leg. And if I miss that ball, it's probably going to hit me on the leg, so I'm not going to get stumped, but I am just lined up. So even if I don't get there, if I'm in this position, I still might be able to keep my arms going through the line of the ball, the back face, for as long as possible. I still might be able to pull off hitting a 6 when I don't get there. But if I'm going like that, I certainly won't be able to hit it there. And if the ball was turning the other way, principles pretty much the same. So left armour, turning it. If I come down like this, yeah, it's okay if I maybe want to hit an off drive, that's fine. But I want to come down the wicket with a view that I could hit straight, mid on. I could slog it if I wanted to. That length ball, I've got better access to it like this, to hit straight, than if I go, I'm closing off at that. If it goes straight on, that's just awful position to be in. Spinning in or out, hitting straight, this is the place to be. Obviously the off spinner, I'm going to clear my leg out of the way a bit more if I'm improvising. That opens hitting down the ground even wider to be able to do that. Also with spin, you always want to play it in front of the pad, out in front, because if it's in front, your head's obviously a long way forward, you're obviously leaning into it. If it moves, you can go with it. It's level with your pad, could get caught, back pad, have a wound around the back. And also, anything to do with playing straight, it's all about the top hand. The bottom hand needs to stay loose. So if you get too much going on with the bottom hand, it's very hard to keep your shape, and your hitting zone becomes smaller. If your bottom hand's loose, hitting zone becomes bigger, percentages are in your favour. And again, also if you're looking to hit boundaries for 2020 cricket, if you're playing straight trying to do it, different if you're cutting or pulling or hooking, you need to have a rhythmical swing. You know, swing your hands and arms at the speed that allows you to still maintain technique for as long as possible. If you try to whack it and hit it as hard as you can, then you compromise keeping your shape, your hitting zone gets smaller, you've got more chance of making a mistake. So go to the good cricket shots first, and from there you could collapse them if you want to do something else, but keep the top hand dominant. Only bring this in if you're trying to pick it up over square leg, cut it or hook it. As for guard, I would never want to be leg stump, because leg stump means that all the balls that are bowled on the stumps, you're always playing to the offside, and you're always doing this, and that could start someone prejudging, tipping to the offside. So if you're taking middle, or middle and leg, preferably middle, I'd go with middle, and you're slightly open, your head and body is in line with the stumps when you're playing straight. You're behind it, both front and back foot, which is a good place to be. You're playing straight, bat on the line of the ball for as long as possible to a straight ball. And if you're stood open, you definitely need to be on middle stump. If I'm on leg stump, stood open, I've got a long way to go over there. If I was on leg stump, then I could understand someone standing really sideways on. If you're going to come across your stumps, anything that is on the stumps you want to get decent access to, so you want to be slightly open, because if you're over on middle and off, suddenly everything's straight. If you're sideways on, you're hitting around them. If you're like this, you're playing with a straight bat. And just talking about hitting around the ball, if the ball is on leg stump, as you see it's there, your back is going to go out wider. Now people will say, oh, you're hitting across the ball. Let's have a little look at the ball there. So they'll say, yeah, you're hitting across the ball. So I'm thinking straight line, through ball to target. I think that's quite compact. I'm picking up behind me or straight. I'm going to now hit around that. So either way, your bat's not going to be on the line of the ball for that long because of the angle of where it's coming from and where you're trying to hit it. But this is far more effective technically, simplicity, than this. So that's quite important.